Hey, what's up, Glow Bear fam? Welcome back to my channel. I have been missing for a little while, and that's because I decided I was going to take a break in November and December 2020 because it's been a really long year, and I just kind of needed some space to deal with my own life and also just kind of get some space mentally and take care of myself physically. So I took a break and I feel pretty good about it. And it actually kind of reinvigorated my desire to do this and to keep doing Clo Bear as well as keep teaching about money and maybe doing even a little bit more with YouTube. So I'm kind of excited. In this video today, we are going to actually go over my October 2020 spending report, even though I know it's been a while, but I kind of just like keeping intact all of the different spending reports, and I don't want to have this big gap in the spending reports, even though it's now January that I'm posting this. What I'm going to cover in this video includes everything that I spent my money on in October of 2020, as well as all of the things that I messed up on, because trust me, I totally messed up on a lot of things. But also some changes that I've decided to make in terms of paying off debt versus investing. Spoiler alert, I changed my journey, my decision, my path towards FIRE. So I'll talk a little bit about that at the end, but it'll probably be its own separate video too. Before we get into it, I do want to remind you to like this video if this is the kind of content that you're into, and if you want to see more videos by yours truly, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the YouTube algorithm post up my videos, you know the things, do the thing. All right, so let's get into it. So over here, you can see my categories. And as you can see, I spent a lot of money in October if you just look at the total, because the total says $7,141. But if you actually look at the categories, what you'll see is obviously my rent is in there. I paid $1,000 on debt, and I also have a fancy new category known as the emergency fund. So in addition to that, you'll see $1,200 there for travel, which I'll explain in a second, because actually that all got canceled due to the illness. And so that actually is irrelevant. But I did start a new category for emergency fund because I like to teach spending goals or saving goals as, or treat them like an expense. So it's kind of that idea of pay yourself first. And so I put that in there to make sure that as soon as I get paid, I would transfer that money over into my emergency fund, because I do want to build that up after having to pay taxes last pay period, and just having to take $5,000 out. So that really hurt my emergency fund. So I was like, okay, I need to have an emergency fund, and then I also need to have a tax fund every year, and then I also need to have whatever my goals are funds coming up. So that definitely changed things up for my spending this month. So it looks bad at first glance, but actually I saved $22,000. No, I didn't save $22,000. I saved $2,200. You know, it's been a long year. Like I said, I'm still in December, so 2020 is not over at this point. Anyway, so if you look at all of my categories, you'll see I spent only $224 in groceries, which is really good. I spent $11 on Clo Bear, which is a G Suite renewal. I $16 in medical, which isn't bad. My transportation was $56 because I had to pay for gas for a rental car. And my personal was a little bit high. I really don't like it to be at 116. I'd rather keep it closer to like 100 for a whole month, if not less. But there were a lot of random personal purchases. So my personal category is for things that are like personal. So skincare items, hair items, beauty, socks and underwear, whitening, random things for plants that I need to buy. So it's kind of like some people might use it as a shopping category. Some people might use it as, you know, a beauty, whatever. But because I spend so little in just shopping and because I spend so little in just beauty, I kind of just loop it into a personal item because it's easier for me. So with my personal, the reason that it's so high this time is because I had to spend money on skincare. I also had to spend money on crest whitening. Had to. Okay, I spent money on those things. I didn't have to. I just wanted to, and so I did. And so I got crest whitening strips, some skincare, and some socks and underwear, which I really did actually need to buy. Also, if you want to know how level cheap I am, I literally bought the most basic underwear set from Amazon for like, I think I got like 6 pairs for like $12, and then I also got a bunch of socks from Amazon too. So I know I shouldn't be supporting Jeff Bezos, but sometimes when you just need some socks, you need some socks. And they were cheap. And where else can you get that good of a deal? I still kind of feel like I spent too much on entertainment. Like I spent almost $200 on entertainment. But the good thing is that it's a little bit less that on food. So it's not just food. I had during the October spending report, I actually had a wedding to go to. And it's so weird watching this now because it's like imagining going to a wedding right now when the virus is raging here in December. It's like I wouldn't do that. But the virus was a little bit better and we were able to go to an outdoor wedding. And so there were a bunch of expenses that came with that I looped into entertainment or special occasions. But there were also just a lot of fun extra things happening because you were able to eat outside and you were able to do things outside. Now you really can't do anything because it's cold and the virus is getting worse. So that's where a lot of that entertainment expenses came from, was getting dinner, drunkenly getting McDonald's and things like that. So can't say I'm proud of it, but at the same time, there's so few things that we can find joy in right now. And unfortunately, a lot of those things for me are food. So it's like getting dinner and getting breakfast and doing those things. And it's not a habit that I want to keep. It's definitely a habit I want to watch because food can so quickly creep up. But even with all these special occasions that were happening, I only spent $320 on food for the entire month of October. So I'm kind of okay with that. It's not $600 like I used to spend in 2 weeks back in the day. And it's still, it's probably more than I'd like to be spending, but it's not as bad as, what I used to be doing. So did I justify that enough? I don't know. But yeah, I'm okay with it. During like I said, during the virus, there's just not that many things that we can do, especially as it gets colder. So if I'm going to buy dinner, I'm going to buy dinner. But if you have tips or tricks or ideas on how to entertain yourself during quarantine that don't involve food, please let me know in the comments or share some links to your blogs that have activities, things like that. I would love to see them. Especially my boyfriend and I have gotten into crafting, which is something I never thought I would say, but it's actually really fun to just like craft and just do something and get something from like Michael's or Hobby Lobby for the sake of enjoyment. So we have been doing that. Like we painted a Santa Claus and a Nutcracker. We also made some gnomes and turned them into little gnome wreaths. It was pretty cute. I'll post some pictures here. But any other things, feel free to leave those ideas in the comments and I will totally take a look. So another big expense item that you will see is the travel expenses, and those certainly were substantial, but that total that you see was actually the total before my boyfriend paid me back. So that's actually quite lower than the $1,200. And then, of course, we ended up canceling the trip because the virus got a lot worse in comparison to when we booked the trip. So we decided it's not worth it, and we're doing our civic duty to stay inside and not do anything. So a lot of that I got back. I didn't get back about $250 each of us. So between Tarek and I, we did not get back $250. So small price to pay for making sure that nobody in my family gets coronavirus, and neither do Tarek or I. So that is what happened. Another good thing is I spent less money on dating. I only ended up spending about $90 in October on dating, and while some of it was food related, we went to a pumpkin patch. So that's not really food related. I mean, we did get cookies and those amazing apple cider donuts when we were there, but it's more about the experience of riding on a haystack and walking around and looking at all the kids running around and things like that. So it was cool. Okay, let's get into my actual spending report and things that I spent my money on in October 2020. So I'm not going to list out every single one. If you want to see everything, you can go over to the blog post. But I spent money on snacks for date night. I did the drunken McDonald's and drinks at the wedding that we went to. And the drinks was paying for the tips. So we had to pay, it was obviously a cash bar, or it was a open bar, but we had to pay cash tips, obviously. $100 for a wedding gift. I was in the wedding, so I only really had to give a wedding gift for my significant other's attendance. There was some Grubhub. I'm not proud of it. What else? Skincare. My skin's been terrible since coronavirus started. So, yeah, I ended up buying some stuff to try and help with my skin. You can't tell because I'm wearing makeup right now, but it's just like bumps everywhere all the time. And it's like worse than what it was in high school. So I finally caved and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get some skincare and we're going to see how this works. So I don't really know if it's helping, but I hear people my age are supposed to have a skincare routine. So I'm trying. Let me know if you think my skin's getting better. Anyway, so I also got some flowers for one of my best friends for 30th birthday. I had to pay Oak Park parking for the millionth time. And during the virus, when we were under an emergency order, Oak Park was doing like half-priced parking because everybody had to stay home and they really weren't enforcing any of the parking restrictions. Well, in October, they decided, well, we're going to start that up again. And so I had to renew it and it was at full price and that was $74, which is a lot for parking, but it's only quarterly. So, it is what it is. I did make some donations to the Biden campaign. If you don't like Biden, you can unfollow my channel. And we went to Gobbert's pumpkin farm and I also got some dinners. I spent $34 on socks and underwear from Amazon and I also spent $42 on Crest whitening strips, which, look, my teeth are so light. I like it. It looks good. It's a small choice. It's a small choice in life. So, I spent $35 on beer for my sister. There's this particular kind of beer that my sister loves. It's like this pistachio ale, and you can only get it you can get it in other places, but you can't get it in her home, where she lives, which is in my hometown. So I bought her a bunch of those things, a bunch of 6-packs or 4-packs, because it only comes in 4-packs. And then I also bought my mom something for her birthday. She loves scary stuff, so I bought her a magazine filled with like the world's most haunted places. And then a bunch of money spent on the trip we did not take. So luckily with the trip, I was able to get our flights for free. So I didn't really lose any money and I have a credit for when we want to rebook. So it is what it is. All right, now let's get into my numbers and where they were at as of October 2020. So my total spend in October 2020, when you subtract the travel adjustments, you subtract the debt, and you subtract the emergency fund, I only spent $2,973, which is actually really low for me because usually I spend closer to like $3,000, $4,000 when you take out debt and things like that. So I'm actually pretty good with that. Then when you look at what my percent of after-tax income spent on debt, it was about 18%. My after-tax income saved is 36%, and it's closer to like 40%, 45% if you include my contributions to my 401k. And then the percent of after-tax income spent was about 48%. So less than 50% of what I'm spending or what I'm making, and the rest is going to debt or savings, which is pretty good. So currently my savings are at, and this is currently as of October, my cash savings was at $8,300, which is a nice boost after having to pay taxes the month prior. My real estate investment was at $43,900, and my 401k was at $65,000, and then that means my total savings was at $117,200. My total debt was at $30,500, and that means my net worth is at $86,700. So I'm slowly getting up into the 6-figure net worth, which is really exciting to do before I turn 30, which I think I will. So it's super dope. But I'm really actually not going to talk about goals for October 2020 because I've already passed through those, and I'm kind of just taking a break to chill with like being so crazy and excited about saving money to just kind of allow myself to spend a little bit more during the holiday season. I think it's okay to take a break. And, the thing about taking a break is it helps you keep going. So I haven't gone crazy, as you can see from my October numbers, but I'm sure my November numbers will be quite a bit higher because I spent a lot of money on Christmas presents. And it was also my boyfriend's birthday. So, or not in November, but in December. So, the expenses go up, but I'm trying not to worry about it because I don't want to be with like one of those people like Graham Stephan who's literally afraid to spend money. I'm not anywhere close to that, and I'm also not as frugal as he is, but I don't know. I like taking a break so that I can enjoy my money too. So especially in 2020 when we need all the enjoyment we can get. I know it's 2021 now, and I'm sure not all the problems have gone away, but anyway. So one of the things that I do want to talk about before I log off today is, if you haven't smashed that like button, if you could go ahead and do that. But also, I just want to talk about why I changed my plan and what my plan now is. So if you've been following my channel for a while, and if you've been following the blog for even longer, you know that I started back in 2017 or 2018. I decided to start tracking everything that I spent, and I started this whole budgeting journey. Well, originally I decided I wanted to do it to be debt-free and to pay off all my student loans early. That was when I had about a 7% interest rate on my debt, and I also had a car payment that had a low interest rate, but it was still, one of those things where I was like, oh, it's just good to be debt-free. So I kind of just took all my energy and went towards paying off debt. Whereas now, as the years have gone on, I've gotten a lot smarter about finances, and I understand that when I have an interest rate on my student loans, which is the only debt that I have that is as low as 3.5%, it actually makes more sense for me to not pay that debt off early and instead invest that money into either the market or some other kind of investment that makes sense. So this is all based off of my risk preference, and I have a relatively high risk preference because I'm single, I'm not married, I don't have any children. The only thing that depends on me is my dog Logan, and I have a decent emergency fund. I have a couple months emergency fund, but I have a pretty stable job and I have a couple streams of income. So with that, it just really doesn't make any sense for me to pay off my student loans early. In fact, it would not help me build wealth to pay off my student loans early, which I am in the wealth building stage. So I want to build as much wealth as possible, and it's smarter for me to put that money into investments. And the reason is because I have a 3.5% interest rate on my student loans, and my student loans are sitting at about $30,000 right now, which means I'm only going to pay a couple $1,000s in interest. The market alone, over a 100-year average, on average when adjusted for inflation, it returns about 7% annually just from investing in the market when you're investing in low cost index funds. So that's 7%. That means if I pay off my student loans early instead of investing in the market, I'm missing out on a 4% gain that I could be making because instead I'm throwing all that money into my student loans. So it just doesn't really make sense, and it's smarter for me to engage in other investments. So the investment that I've decided I want to look into and start doing is, as I alluded before, is I want to buy a building, and I want to live in one of the units and rent out the others. So that's called house hacking for those of you who are new. But I am super excited. So I've been looking at buildings in the surrounding areas of Chicago, and I'm hoping in 2021 to be able to purchase one. I'm saving for a down payment right now, and I'm saving beyond the emergency fund. So the emergency fund is not a down payment. An emergency fund is for an emergency. So I am currently focusing on saving for a down payment and learning everything I can about real estate and purchasing a building in this area. So I'm super excited about it. I'm kind of nervous too because it's just like a new thing to learn, and it's something that I don't have any experience in, and also you just don't see a lot of women doing it, and so it kind of freaks me out, but at the same time, what's the worst that can happen? And the thing is, everything that I've ever done that scares me, all I have to do is do it, and then once I do it, it's just not as scary anymore, and I learn from it, and I am able to do the next thing. So I have a feeling real estate's going to be just like that, where, I never knew how to start a blog, but I started a blog, and look where it got me. So with 58 followers on YouTube, and I appreciate every single one of you. But anyway, so I'm really stoked about it. If you've done it before, let me know in the comments, and if you have any resources that you think I should check out. I'm really into Bigger Pockets right now. I watch a lot of Graham Stephan's videos, and I'm super stoked to get into it. So it's another one of those things that I get to learn, and once I learn it, I'll be able to teach you guys about it too. So I'm pumped. I'm glad you guys are still here, and that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, and thanks for sticking to me even as I take breaks, and I'm really excited to produce more content for you guys and to be as helpful as I can be in terms of personal finance. So if there's anything that you want me to do a video on, let me know, and I'm gonna just keep on doing this and hope that I get better as I go, which is, all you can do. So much love to you all out there. I hope you had some great holidays. Happy New Year. And I hope 2020 is better for all of us. So thanks for stopping by. And if you need to get some daily doses of some dog and personal finance tips, you can follow me on Instagram, where I post pretty much daily pictures of my dog and personal finance advice. So thanks for stopping by.